So today I wanted to talk about Form 22MH, which is the Manufactured Home Addendum. And they're not widely used, but we need to know when we should and should not be using these and be able to kind of guide our clients through these forms. So 22MH is the form of the day. When you're talking about manufactured homes, what you want to think about is first of all, we're going to talk about title elimination. So what does that even mean? What does it mean to have the title eliminated? You want to know where to find the HUD tag. So we'll be talking about that. We will be talking about how to find out if the title has been eliminated or has not, how to order an L&I inspection, and what to look for when listing or representing a buyer in the sale with a manufactured home. What are some financing issues or pitfalls that may come up so you can avoid them? And how do you sell a manufactured home on leased land? So the first thing we want to do is we want to remember what our rights and jobs are as real estate agents. We are licensed to sell real property. So what does it mean when a title has been eliminated? Well, that means it has been eliminated from personal property and is now considered real property. When a manufactured home is made, it's packaged up and licensed just like a vehicle. So there's a VIN number like a car. And once that home is placed on the foundation and attached to the property, the title is then recorded with the county as real property, and that vehicle title is eliminated. So that's what it means to have the title eliminated. If the home was never actually recorded as being attached to the land, then the title will remain as a personal property title and it will not be eliminated. So the transfer of real estate, we are licensed to sell property that is real. So we need to make sure at some part of the transaction, we are selling either personal property with real property or the property that's attached to the land as real property in its entirety. Every purchase and sale agreement we have transfers real property. And then just keep in mind, a buyer using a lender may have the requirement that the home be real property prior to the sale. Personal property may also need to be removed in certain sales with title transfers. So there are exceptions to each one of these. If you're ever in doubt, go ahead and ask the lender how this transfer is going to work with their loan type. So pulling up the form, it's 22MH. The first thing you're going to notice on the form is a description of the manufacturer number, the VIN number, the year. So how do you find this information? Well, if you're the listing agent, it will be in the title report, but also if you're a buyer's agent, or even if you just don't know where to find it, there are tags on the actual building. So typically they're either by the front door or at either one of the ends. Sometimes you'll find them where the two seams come together. They're going to be metal plates. Oftentimes, if it's an older home, they will have been painted over or completely illegible.
Yep.
On the form, you have two options. One is to have the title eliminated, and the other one is to not have the title eliminated. So first of all, we want to check on the title report to see what it even says. This form should be used if the title has not been eliminated, because then you can make the decision on number 2. I pulled up a blurb from the title report, and on my title report, it was noted on note 5 of this was schedule A or B. It says the manufactured home located on this property is the real property defined as the RCW. So this is one place to find it. The auditor's file actually does have a link to the title elimination in its wet signed form. And this is what it looks like. It has a title elimination. It has all the information about this home. It has all the numbers that you need to find on here. So in a circumstance where you have a title eliminated and it's on property owned, not leased land, there's really no need to have the 22MH in here, but I did want to pull this up for examples. And then this right here is what the full title elimination looks like. It is a multi-page document. Again, this is attached to the title report. All right, so first of all, I want to talk about really quickly how you eliminate the title. If you're in a situation where you do need the title eliminated, what are the steps to do that? And I don't actually have a corresponding slide, but it's done through the it's done through the county auditor. What you'll want to do is you'll want to contact them. They'll have an inspector come out to the property and verify that the home is truly affixed to the land. Then a form is you need to submit a form to the county to change the title from personal to real property. There are certain codes that will be required. You can't just attach it to the land and call it good. It needs to have those things required by Washington State to have it be considered a home on the land. There are a list of those things that I have towards the end of these slides. But Section 3 of the 22MH does talk about L&I. So when you have any modifications on a manufactured home, they are subject to the inspection of the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries. This section is not in itself an inspection contingency for you to find out these things. It is in addition to an inspection contingency. So if you have the need to get proof that L&I came through, for example, to properly install a wood-burning fireplace in a manufactured home, or potentially, I don't know, a number of other, maybe another similar repair inside the home. Basically, anything that requires an approval will need to have an L&I inspection checked off. So if you need to figure out how to do this, who to call, it is through Washington State L&I. There's a 1-800 number that you can call. It's a 24-hour-a-day line, and you can leave a message asking to schedule an inspection. The L&I inspector will come out to the house, check out things like, I'm just going to use the example of the wood-burning fireplace. There are regulations and ways that it has to be installed safely in a manufactured home. Like I said, these homes are packaged up to be moved around, so they're not constructed the way a normal stick-built house is. The inspector will come out, make sure everything is great, and typically they leave a tag proving they have made the inspection. So you should be able to find proof of this having already been done, and then once it is done, proof that it has been done as well. Again, keep in mind, this is not an inspection contingency, but an additional contingency to your home inspection. So Washington State has laws for manufactured homes, and these are not all of them, but ones to keep in mind as maybe you're going through a listing or you have a buyer. Some of the big things to look out for as basically are Washington State kind of code requirements. So keep in mind any updates that are done will potentially be needing permitting, potentially through L&I. You will have issues closing on a home older than 1976 issues moving a home. If you're trying to transfer it from one property to another, it no longer meets the safety requirements for being on the road. When you have it affixed to the land, you'll see approximately 4 anchors for each end of that home. So an example would be in a double wide, you have 4 ends, front and back on 2 sides. So you'll have roughly 16 anchors holding them down. And you'll notice that they're going to be spaced anywhere from 8 to 10 feet apart. All manufactured homes are required to have skirting and rodent block. Venting holes in the skirting are required. It is required to have a moisture barrier under the home as well. The home needs to sit on a concrete slab and have some sort of a pillar, post, or beam type support under its foundation. And then as a general term to just understand, the term marriage line is where the two pieces come together, and typically it is sealed shut with bolting, sealant. It's almost like I want to say tape, but it's not actually tape that they seal them together with. Once they're put together, everything is packaged up very nice and neat underneath, and it's kind of closed in like a box. When you're thinking about financing, the typical lifespan from a manufactured home is about 20 to 30 years. So a home older than that is going to be difficult to get financing for. I've had difficulty getting anything financed before 1979. And sometimes it is that you can get a loan for it, but the insurance for it is just crazy and ridiculous in price. There was a question in the chat about having a slab foundation. It's just some sort of concrete flat area that the home can have those cinder blocks placed on. It's not, you don't have to create a foundation for the home. It just needs to have a flat prepared piece on the land so it can sit and be tied down to it. All manufactured homes in Washington state are required to be approved by HUD or L&I. So those tags need to be visible, or the paperwork needs to be available. If you're financing, that lender is going to be asking you for those tags or information. To get financing, I've noticed it's been hard if the home has been moved. So once they have the title eliminated and it's affixed to the land, anytime you need to pick it up and move it, you're going to see where that happens in the chain of that title. So you should be able to theoretically follow that title from manufacture date to home installation with no interruptions with financing. It is possible to have it financed once it's moved. It requires special financing though, and that's something you'll need to talk to a lender about. I have noticed too that sometimes on homes, you may need to have a foundation certification, which is kind of like in description, kind of like the title elimination inspection, where somebody goes under the house and certifies that it is in fact attached to the land, proper tie downs, proper supports underneath. And in the past, when my client has had to do this, it was approximately $350. I don't know if that's currently an accurate price. So again, refer to a lender on a foundation cert. A lender may also require you to eliminate the title prior to lending, because remember, we are only certified to and licensed to sell real property. So if the title is not currently eliminated, it may be required. In a cash sale, it's not necessarily required. And there will be instances where it may be more favorable for you to not eliminate the title, just depending on what your client wants to do with the property. Fireplaces are common callouts for L&I verification. So if you have a wood burning fireplace specifically, those are heavily regulated. So make sure you are either finding that certification on the back of the fireplace. There should be a sticker on the back of the fireplace, or that you leave time to allow for an inspection of that fireplace for your client. All right, so kind of bringing this into more real life, how do we use this form? When does it apply? When does it not apply, right? So what if we have real property? What if the title is eliminated and the home is for sale on a piece of land? There are no leases on the land. So that's going to be just a standard purchase and sale. A Form 21 is just fine because there is no title elimination needed. The 22MH is not needed. If you need an L&I inspection, though, you can possibly consider putting it in or adding it into your home inspection, because whether the 22MH is in there or not, the homes are still subject to L&I. What if it is personal property? So what if the land is owned and the home title has not been eliminated? So they own the land, but not the house. They want to sell both of them together. So if they own the land and not the home is considered personal property. The land is considered real property. You'll use a land purchase and sale agreement, and you'll add in this 22MH. Now you can either select it to be eliminated or not eliminated. If it's financed and they want to put it all together, I would highly suggest trying to eliminate that title, attach it to the land. If they want to take it and do something else, but if they want to get rid of that manufactured home, but they don't care if it transfers title, go ahead and don't eliminate the title. This is going to be a conversation you're going to have with your buyer. And if there's a lender involved, with the buyer's lender. What if you have a leased piece of land, like in a park, and the manufactured home is not going to be attached to the leased land necessarily? We're going to use a Form 23, which is a manufactured home purchase and sale agreement for leased land. It has all the provisions needed to show the transfer of ownership being attached to a piece of real property. And it also has items in the Form 23 that leave opportunity for the buyer to make sure they are qualified to purchase the home. So make sure if you have the leased piece of land in a park that you're using a Form 23. So what if we have owned land and personal property? If the manufactured home is on land and the title has not been eliminated, the landowner wants to sell the home and build a home on the land instead. So the only item being sold would be the manufactured home. This is something that we cannot do. It is considered personal property, and that seller would have to just take that personal property and sell it privately. That's not anything we can help them with. So these are examples. If you ever get your head underneath a manufactured home, you may find things that look like this. So the left one is not quite manufactured home, but the idea is that there's a moisture barrier on the bottom, and there's not one on this one to the right. So if you're looking under the home, make sure it does have the moisture barrier. Sometimes you will actually see the cinder blocks wrapped like the one on the left. And sometimes they won't, but typically the home sits on those cinder blocks. The home on the right does not have moisture barrier. It's exposed, and it's actually being pulled down from what looks like rodent damage. Remember, skirting is required. So the home on the left has the skirting, the home on the right does not. And then lastly, anything that is an exterior structure with a manufactured home cannot be attached. So you can't have decks, awnings, garages that are truly attached to the home itself. You can mount them in the ground, you can put them right up against that house. But because the manufactured home is not made with the same stability as something cemented into the ground with the foundation, they moved a little bit differently and can cause a lot of damage if they're truly attached. So make sure if you're selling a manufactured home that there's nothing screwed into the side of that home, such as a deck, because that will be an issue if being financed. Okay, those are kind of the nuances from manufactured homes. I don't know if anybody ever has a chance to, but if you do need to use the 22MH and you have questions, there's a pretty good manufactured home addendum manual in the Northwest MLS that just kind of bullet points again the uses for title elimination and a new description of what those mean. And then if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.